Welcome to English Listening Practice Hub. If you're new here, this is where you don't just learn English, you experience it. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest questions every learner asks. How can I improve my English speaking skills? Now, before we begin, let me tell you something. You don't need perfect grammar, a native accent, or thousands of words to speak fluently. You just need one thing: consistency. Fluency is not a gift, it's a habit. It's something you build every single day, one sentence at a time. But here's the truth. Most people never become fluent because they approach learning the wrong way. They focus on memorizing words instead of using them. They read grammar books but never open their mouths. They understand everything they hear but freeze when it's time to speak. If that sounds like you, don't worry. You're not alone. And the good news is, you can fix it. In this video, you'll learn the simple, realistic steps to become confident in speaking English. Not someday, but starting today. So take a deep breath, relax, and listen carefully. Because if you follow what I'm about to share, your English will never feel the same again. The first thing you need to understand is this. Fluency is not about speed. It's about comfort. It's not about sounding perfect. It's about being understood. Even native speakers pause, hesitate, and make mistakes. The difference is they don't care. They keep going. And that's exactly what you need to do. Most learners think too much before they speak. They try to translate every thought from their native language into English. And that's why they get stuck. You can't speak fluently if you're always translating. So the first rule: stop thinking in your native language. Start thinking in English. You don't need big words for that. Start with small, daily thoughts. When you wake up, describe your morning in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making coffee. I'm getting ready for work. Talk to yourself. It may feel strange at first, but that's how your brain starts connecting English with real life. Another big mistake learners make is waiting for the right time to speak. They tell themselves, I'll speak when my grammar is better, or I'll practice when I learn more words. That time never comes. Fluency doesn't happen after learning. It happens through speaking. Imagine a baby learning to talk. Do they wait until they understand grammar? No. They make mistakes, repeat sounds, copy words, and keep trying. And that's how they learn. You must do the same. You learn to speak by speaking. Not by waiting, not by overthinking, by doing. So here's your first action step. Every day, speak English for 5 minutes, out loud. It doesn't matter what you say. Talk about your day, your plans, your thoughts, your dreams. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. Even if you don't have anyone to talk to, you can still practice. Record your voice. Describe what you see around you. Narrate your actions like you're explaining them to a friend. Say, I'm opening the window. I'm checking my phone. I'm walking to the kitchen. It may sound silly, but it's training your brain to think in English automatically. And here's something powerful. Record yourself once a week. After a month, listen to the difference. You'll notice small improvements, better pronunciation, faster response, more confidence. That's how real fluency grows, silently, day by day. Remember, no one wakes up fluent. They practice, they fail, they repeat. The only difference between you and a fluent speaker is time and consistency. So stop doubting yourself and start practicing. You already have what it takes. You just have to use it. In the next part, we'll talk about the mindset shift you need. How to stop being afraid of mistakes and start using them as your most powerful teacher. One of the biggest barriers to improving your English speaking skills isn't grammar or vocabulary, it's fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of sounding silly. Fear of making mistakes. But here's the truth. Everyone who's fluent today was once afraid too. The only difference is they spoke anyway. Fear never disappears completely. Even native speakers feel nervous before public speaking. Even teachers make mistakes while talking. The key isn't to remove fear, it's to act despite it. When you stay silent because you're afraid, you're protecting your ego, not your growth. You can't learn to swim by reading about swimming. You have to get in the water. And yes, at first you'll sink a little. But every time you try again, you float longer. Speaking English works the same way. If you only speak when you're confident, you'll never speak at all. Confidence comes after speaking, not before it. So stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is built through action. Here's something that might surprise you. Mistakes are not your enemy. They're your best teachers. Every mistake shows you what to improve. Every awkward sentence helps your brain grow. Fluent speakers don't avoid mistakes, they use them. Think about it. A child doesn't get embarrassed when they mispronounce a word. They just laugh, repeat it, and try again. That's why they learn so fast. But adults? We overthink. We care too much about what others think. And that's what keeps us stuck. So here's your challenge. Make at least one mistake every day on purpose. Yes, you heard that right. Speak to someone in English even if you're unsure. Ask a question. Tell a story. Say something, anything. If you make a mistake, good. It means you're learning. You'll notice something amazing. People don't judge you as much as you think. Most will admire your effort. And even if they correct you, that's free feedback. Something to be grateful for, not ashamed of. The more you speak, the less afraid you become. Your first sentence will be scary, your 10th will be easier, and your 100th will be natural. Fear fades through repetition. One of the best ways to overcome fear is to practice speaking in safe environments. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Read English out loud. Join language exchange apps where people expect you to make mistakes. That's where real growth happens. In practice, not perfection. Remember, your accent is not a problem. It's your story. It shows where you come from, what you've learned, and how far you've come. Don't hide it, own it. Communication is not about sounding like someone else. It's about being understood and expressing yourself honestly. In the next part, we'll go deeper. I'll show you practical ways to improve pronunciation, rhythm, and natural speech flow without sounding robotic or memorized. When it comes to speaking English, pronunciation is what separates understood from confused. You can have perfect grammar and advanced vocabulary, but if your pronunciation is unclear, communication breaks down. That's why mastering pronunciation is one of the most powerful steps toward fluency. But here's something most learners get wrong. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You just need to sound clear. Clarity is the key to confidence. People don't care about your accent. They care about understanding you. So instead of trying to erase your accent, focus on making your English sound natural, smooth, and alive. The first rule of pronunciation is listening before speaking. Think of your mouth like a musical instrument. It plays what your ear hears. So if your ear doesn't recognize English sounds correctly, your mouth can't reproduce them accurately. That's why listening to English every day is essential. Listen not only to words, but to rhythm, tone, and emotion. Try this. Watch an English video with subtitles. Listen carefully to how the speaker connects words. Notice how going to becomes gonna, how want to becomes wanna, and how did you sounds like did ya. These are not slang. They're natural reductions that make spoken English flow. Textbooks rarely teach them, but native speakers use them constantly. That's why one of the most effective methods is shadowing. Shadowing means repeating exactly what you hear, in real time. Pick a short audio clip, maybe 1 minute long. Play one sentence, pause, and copy everything. The sound, the speed, the emotion, the stress. At first, it'll feel impossible, but after a few sessions, you'll notice progress. Your mouth will move more naturally, your tongue will adjust automatically, and your confidence will grow. The key is imitation, not memorization. You don't need to remember every sentence. Just mimic the rhythm and melody of English. Think of it like music practice. The more you play, the more natural it becomes. Another important skill is recording yourself. Most people avoid it because they hate hearing their own voice. But that's exactly why you should do it. Recording helps you identify your weak spots. Maybe your vowels sound flat. Maybe your tone is monotone. Maybe you're stressing the wrong word. When you listen back, you start hearing the details your brain usually ignores. Compare your recording to a native speaker and adjust. That's how professionals, actors, speakers, even news anchors refine their delivery. Also, pay attention to intonation and stress. English is a language of rhythm, not rules. The melody of your sentence tells people what you mean. For example, I didn't say you stole the money. Depending on which word you stress, the meaning changes completely. That's why intonation isn't decoration, it's meaning. To train this, try reading sentences with emotion. Pretend you're telling a story. Raise your voice where excitement belongs. Lower it where the idea ends. When you do this, your English stops sounding robotic and starts sounding human. And here's something few learners know. Pronunciation is physical. It's about how your lips, tongue, and jaw move. That's why practice matters. Stand in front of a mirror and exaggerate sounds. Feel how your mouth moves for th, r, or v. Your muscles will adapt the more you repeat. Finally, remember this rule. People don't remember perfect speakers. They remember confident ones. Confidence makes even small mistakes invisible. Speak clearly, not fast. Speak with rhythm, not pressure. And most importantly, keep speaking. Because pronunciation is not learned from theory. It's built through sound, repetition, and courage. In the next part, we'll go deeper into one of the most transformative habits. How to think in English naturally and stop translating in your head forever. If you want to speak English fluently, the most important thing you can do is stop translating in your head. That single habit, thinking in your native language before speaking, is what slows you down and makes you sound unnatural. You can know hundreds of words, but if you still think in Turkish, Spanish, or any other language before forming a sentence, you'll always feel one step behind. The truth is simple. Fluency is not about how much English you know. It's about how easily you can use it without stopping to think. And that means your thoughts themselves must begin in English. At first, this feels strange, even impossible. But your brain can adapt quickly if you train it the right way. Let's break it down into small, daily habits that anyone can do. Start with simple thinking. Don't try to form complex ideas in English immediately. Begin with everyday thoughts. I'm hungry. I need to go to work. The bus is late. Keep it short. These small sentences help your brain link English directly to meaning, not translation. Another powerful trick is labeling your world. Look around right now and name everything in English. Chair, window, door, phone. Then start connecting words. The window is open. My phone is on the table. I'm sitting on a chair. It seems basic, but it's brain reprogramming. You're teaching your mind that English equals experience. Do this during your daily routine. When you make coffee, describe what you're doing. I'm boiling water. I'm pouring milk. I'm drinking my coffee. This connects the language to your senses. That's how children learn. They don't study, they experience. You can also try inner dialogue practice. That means switching your inner voice, the one you use to think, into English. If you're planning your day, think, okay, first I'll finish my work, then I'll go to the gym. If you're walking outside, think, the weather feels nice today. If you're feeling tired, think, I need to rest for a bit. At first, it will take effort. But soon your brain will start doing it automatically. You'll reach a point where you catch yourself thinking in English without noticing. That's fluency, when you no longer need to translate to express your thoughts. Here's another exercise that helps. Describe what you see. Imagine you're narrating a movie about your life. Say what's happening as it happens. I'm opening the door. I'm walking to the kitchen. There's a cat sleeping on the floor. It may sound funny, but this habit builds real-time speech flow. You're training your mind to describe instead of translate. The more you do this, the faster your reaction time becomes. Because speaking is really just fast thinking. And thinking in English removes the delay. But thinking in English doesn't mean thinking only in words. It also means thinking in pictures, emotions, and patterns. When you hear the word apple, don't think Elma. See an apple in your mind. Taste it. Feel it. The stronger your mental image, the faster your recall becomes. That's how native speakers process language, through meaning, not translation. You can also use journaling. Write short entries about your day in English. Even 2 or 3 sentences help your brain internalize structure. When you write, you slow down just enough to notice patterns, how sentences form, how ideas connect. Then when you speak, those patterns flow naturally. Finally, remember this. Fluency isn't built by studying more grammar. It's built by living in English, thinking, feeling, reacting, and even dreaming in it. When you stop waiting for perfection and start using English to live your daily life, everything changes. You don't just learn English, you become English-minded. In the next part, we'll talk about how to expand your vocabulary naturally, not through memorization, but by connecting new words to real experiences so they actually stick. Most English learners struggle not because they don't study, but because they study in the wrong way. They try to memorize hundreds of words in one night, write long vocabulary lists, and repeat them again and again, only to forget everything a week later. You don't need more words written in notebooks. You need more words that live in your mind. The secret to building a strong vocabulary is not memorization, it's connection. Your brain remembers what it feels, not what it repeats. That means you'll never remember to swim if you just see it on a list, but you'll never forget it if you actually swim, or even imagine yourself swimming while saying the word. So stop trying to force words into your memory. Start building real connections. Here's how you do it. Whenever you learn a new word, use it immediately in a real or imaginary sentence. Don't just say, "Okay, this means that." Say, "I'm using this word to describe something in my life." For example, if you learn the word achievement, say, "My biggest achievement this year was learning English every day." This makes your brain store that word emotionally. Another trick is to group words by topic, not alphabet. For example, instead of memorizing random words like tree, honest, quickly, window, focus on one theme. Food, cook, boil, fry, ingredients, recipe, taste, delicious. Or travel, airport, luggage, ticket, flight, delay, adventure, explore. When words are linked by topic, your brain builds mental folders, making them easier to recall when speaking. You should also learn phrases instead of single words. For example, don't just memorize make. Learn make a decision, make a mistake, make progress. These are the natural combinations native speakers use, and they help you sound fluent instantly. When you learn chunks of language, you don't have to build sentences word by word. You already have ready-made structures in your mind. The next step is context repetition. If you read or listen to English content, notice how often certain words appear. If you see actually, instead, or although in 5 different places, your brain begins to store them naturally, without effort. That's why listening and reading daily are so powerful. They feed your subconscious vocabulary storage every single day. Here's something most learners never realize. You don't need to understand every word to improve your vocabulary. In fact, struggling a little helps your brain learn faster. When your brain works to guess the meaning from context, that mental effort creates stronger memory links. Try this exercise. Every day, pick one short video or podcast in English. Write down 5 new words or phrases. Look them up, then listen again and notice how they're used. Finally, make your own sentences with them. Say them out loud. In 1 week, you'll not only know 35 new words, you'll actually own them. Also, connect words to emotions. When you learn the word grateful, don't just memorize it, feel it. Think of something you're thankful for and say, "I'm grateful for my family." When words are tied to emotions, they stick forever. And don't forget to review, but smartly. Instead of reading your notes like a robot, test yourself. Say, "Can I use this word in a sentence?" If you can, great. If not, use it again today. That's how you turn passive vocabulary into active fluency. Finally, surround yourself with English words. Change your phone language to English. Follow English pages on social media. Label objects around your room with sticky notes. Mirror, door, lamp. You'll see those words every day, and they'll slowly become part of your natural thinking. The goal isn't to know every English word. Even native speakers don't. The goal is to know the right words, the ones you can use with confidence whenever you speak. In the next part, we'll talk about how to practice speaking every day, even if you have nobody to talk to, and how to build daily fluency habits that truly work. One of the biggest challenges for English learners is this. How can I practice speaking if I have nobody to talk to? It's the question every learner asks, and it's the reason most people never reach fluency. They wait for the perfect situation. An English-speaking friend, a conversation class, a trip abroad. But the truth is, you don't need any of that to get started. You can practice speaking alone, and it's one of the most effective ways to become fluent fast. Fluency isn't built through luck, it's built through consistency. If you want to speak well, you must speak often, even when nobody's listening. The secret is to create daily speaking moments that train your mouth, your brain, and your confidence at the same time. Start with something simple. Speak your thoughts out loud. As you go through your day, describe what you're doing. Say, I'm washing the dishes. I'm walking to work. I'm checking my phone. This turns your routine into language practice. You don't need special tools or time, just awareness. The second method is voice recording. Every day, pick a topic and talk for 2 minutes. It can be anything, your plans, your goals, what you learned today. Don't worry about mistakes or grammar. Just speak. Then listen to your recording. At first, you might hate how you sound. Everyone does. But when you listen carefully, you'll hear what needs improvement. Maybe your pace, maybe pronunciation, maybe filler words like or By listening to yourself daily, you become your own teacher. Another great technique is shadowing. Choose a short video in English, maybe a movie scene or a podcast clip. Play one sentence, pause, and repeat it exactly as you hear it. Copy the speed, the rhythm, even the emotion. It's not about understanding every word. It's about training your mouth to move like a native speaker's. This builds muscle memory, which is what fluency truly is. Fast, automatic movement between thoughts and words. Then there's mirror speaking. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself as if you're having a real conversation. Look into your own eyes and speak with energy and confidence. This trains your body language and helps you get comfortable with speaking under pressure. It's amazing how quickly your confidence grows once you stop being afraid of your own reflection. Now, if you want to take it even further, practice storytelling. Every night, tell yourself a short story. Maybe something that happened during your day. Don't just list actions, describe them. Use emotion, use expression. Say, today was stressful, but I finished all my work. Or I met a friend and we had an amazing time. Storytelling helps your sentences flow more naturally, just like in real conversations. You can also use language exchange apps or online speaking groups. But remember, the point isn't to find someone perfect, it's to build consistency. Even 5 minutes a day is enough if you do it every single day. A powerful idea is to create your own English hour. Set aside 1 hour a day where everything you do, thinking, reading, writing, or speaking, happens in English only. During that hour, pretend English is your first language. You'll be amazed at how quickly your brain adjusts. And finally, remove the fear of judgment. Fluency doesn't grow in perfection, it grows in mistakes. Every wrong sentence teaches you something new. Every awkward pause builds your patience. Every time you push through embarrassment, you train your confidence. The real goal isn't to speak perfectly, it's to speak freely. Fluency doesn't come from knowing every rule. It comes from trusting yourself to communicate anyway. So stop waiting for someone to practice with. You already have the best partner, yourself. In the next part, we'll talk about how to sound confident when you speak English. Not through perfect grammar, but through energy, tone, and mindset. Confidence is not about being perfect, it's about being present. When you sound confident, people listen, even if your grammar isn't perfect. When you sound unsure, even perfect sentences lose their power. That's why learning to speak confidently is more important than memorizing hundreds of new words. The first rule of sounding confident is believing your message matters. If you don't believe in what you're saying, no one else will. Before you speak, remind yourself, what I'm saying is valuable. You don't need to impress people. You just need to express yourself clearly and honestly. Confidence doesn't come from speaking flawlessly. It comes from speaking authentically. Let's talk about how to sound confident even when you feel nervous. The first step is posture. Yes, posture. Confidence begins in the body before it reaches the voice. Sit up straight, open your chest, lift your head slightly, and breathe deeply. When your body is open, your voice becomes stronger automatically. Try it now. Say something simple like, "My name is John." Say it slouched, then say it standing tall. You'll feel the difference instantly. The second step is eye contact. When you speak to someone, look them in the eyes. Not in a staring, aggressive way, but in a calm, focused way. Eye contact says, "I believe in what I'm saying." Even if you're online, look into the camera instead of the screen. It builds connection and trust instantly. Next, focus on tone and pacing. Don't rush. Nervous speakers talk too fast because they want to finish quickly. But fluent speakers take their time. They pause, breathe, and let their words land. Silence isn't weakness, it's power. It shows you're in control. When you speak slower, you give your listener time to understand you, and you give yourself time to think. The fourth tip is use your hands. Gestures help your voice sound more dynamic. When you move your hands naturally while speaking, your rhythm improves. It's not about acting. It's about letting your body support your words. If you're passionate, your hands should move with that passion. That's what makes your communication alive and believable. Now let's talk about voice control. Confidence is heard in your tone, not in your grammar. Avoid speaking too softly. It signals uncertainty. But don't shout. Speak with energy and intention. Practice projecting your voice as if you're talking to someone across the room. You don't need to be loud. You just need to sound sure. Also, learn to use intonation. English is a musical language. When you emphasize key words, your speech becomes clear and emotional. For example, instead of saying flatly, "I like learning English," try saying, "I love learning English." The emotion in your tone makes the sentence meaningful. Here's another secret. Smile when you speak. It sounds simple, but smiling changes your tone instantly. It softens your voice and makes you sound friendly and confident at the same time. Even on the phone or in a podcast, people can hear a smile. And don't forget the mental side of confidence. Your inner dialogue shapes your outer voice. If you keep telling yourself, "I'm bad at speaking," your tone will show it. If you say, "I'm improving every day," your energy changes. Your voice follows your mindset. Before speaking, take a moment to reset your thoughts. Tell yourself, "I can do this. People want to hear me. I'm not perfect, and that's okay." Confidence grows through repetition, not luck. Every time you speak, even a little, your fear loses power. Finally, remember this. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you create. Every conversation, every practice session, every mistake is a step forward. The people you admire for speaking fluently weren't born confident. They built it through experience. So start now. Stand tall. Speak with energy. Smile when you talk. And most importantly, believe in your voice. It deserves to be heard. In the next part, we'll talk about how to stay motivated and consistent on your English journey. Even when progress feels slow, motivation is easy to find but hard to keep. Everyone feels excited at the beginning. You start studying English, watching videos, practicing every day, but then life gets busy, energy drops, and that excitement disappears. If you've ever said, "I'll start again tomorrow," You're not lazy, you're human. The truth is, motivation doesn't last forever, but discipline does. The secret to mastering English isn't learning faster. It's staying consistent when motivation fades. Even 10 minutes a day is more powerful than 3 hours once a week. Because fluency isn't built in one big leap. It's built in small, daily steps. So how do you stay consistent? First, understand your why. Why are you learning English? Do you want to study abroad? Get a better job? Connect with more people? When your why is strong, your effort feels meaningful. If you don't have a reason, even easy tasks feel heavy. But when your reason is clear, even hard days make sense. Write your reason down. Put it somewhere you can see it every day. When you feel tired or bored, read it again and remind yourself why you started. That little reminder can restart your fire instantly. Next, make English a part of your lifestyle, not a separate task. Don't just study it, live it. Listen to music in English while cleaning your room. Watch movies with English subtitles. Read short quotes before bed. Turn your phone language into English. The goal is to make English feel natural, not academic. Then use the 2-minute rule. Whenever you don't feel like practicing, tell yourself, I'll just do it for 2 minutes. Because once you start, your brain stops resisting. Those 2 minutes often turn into 20. The hardest part is not studying. It's starting. You should also track your progress. Keep a simple journal. Write what you practiced today. Even one line. When you look back after a month, you'll see how far you've come. That feeling of progress is motivation by itself. Another key is to avoid perfectionism. You'll never feel ready enough. There will always be mistakes, forgotten words, or days when you feel stuck. That's normal. The goal is not perfection, it's progress. You don't need to be perfect to be fluent. You just need to be consistent. It also helps to reward yourself for consistency. After finishing a week of daily practice, treat yourself. Watch your favorite show, go for a walk, eat something you love. You're training your brain to associate English with positive feelings. And if you ever feel like giving up, remember this. Fluency is not a talent, it's a result. Every fluent person you admire once struggled just like you. The difference is they kept going. They practiced even when they didn't feel like it. They didn't wait for motivation, they created it. Finally, surround yourself with English and with people who support your growth. Join online communities, listen to learners' podcasts, or even create a small challenge with a friend. Accountability turns goals into habits. Fluency takes time, but time passes anyway. So use it wisely. A year from now you'll either say, I wish I started, or I'm glad I did. Choose the second one. In the next part, we'll talk about how to learn from native speakers effectively, even if you don't live in an English-speaking country. You don't need to live in an English-speaking country to learn from native speakers. You just need to learn how to listen with purpose. Because the way native speakers talk, the rhythm, the tone, the words they choose, that's the real classroom. Every conversation, podcast, or movie is a free lesson waiting to be noticed. The problem is, most learners don't listen actively. They hear words but don't study them. They get lost in meaning instead of observing how English sounds. If you want to speak like a native, you must first learn to listen like one. So here's how to do it. Start with content you enjoy. Don't force yourself to watch boring news or complicated documentaries. If you like movies, watch movies. If you like sports, listen to interviews. If you love motivation, Listen to English podcasts or YouTube channels that inspire you. When your brain enjoys the content, learning feels effortless. Next, practice active listening. Don't just let words pass by. Focus on how they speak, where they pause, how they stress words, when their tone rises or falls. English has a rhythm, a kind of melody. The more you notice it, the more natural your own speech will become. You can even turn movies into speaking lessons. Choose one scene and play it several times. First, just watch. Then turn on subtitles. Then, turn them off and repeat what you remember. Finally, mimic the actor's pronunciation and emotion, line by line. That's shadowing at its most powerful form. Actors are emotional experts. Copying them teaches you tone, expression, and rhythm all at once. Another technique is echo practice. When you're watching a video or listening to a podcast, repeat each line right after the speaker, like an echo. You'll start to feel their speed, flow, and accent. At first, it's hard to keep up, but don't worry about mistakes. You're training your reflexes, not testing your knowledge. And don't forget to learn from what you hear, not just copy it. Write down small phrases you notice, not individual words. For example, instead of just learning, by the way, notice how it's used in a sentence. By the way, did you see that movie? That's how you learn natural conversation flow. Native speakers love to use connected speech, where words blend together. You'll hear wanna, gonna, gotta, lemme, kinda. Don't fight these forms, embrace them. They're not lazy English, they're real English. Once you understand them, you'll stop feeling lost in fast speech. If you can, try to join online conversations with native speakers. There are free communities, apps, and websites where people chat to exchange languages. Don't overthink it. Even short interactions help you practice listening and responding in real time. And you'll realize something important. Native speakers don't care if you make mistakes. They just want connection. Also, pay attention to body language and expressions. English communication isn't just about words. It's about delivery. Notice how speakers use their hands, eyebrows, or pauses to emphasize meaning. When you add these physical cues, your English sounds more alive and natural. And here's a mindset shift. Stop trying to sound like a native speaker. Instead, aim to communicate like one. That means being relaxed, expressive, and confident. You don't need to copy accents. You need to adopt rhythm and flow. That's what fluency really is. So make native English a daily soundtrack to your life. Wake up to it, work with it, relax with it. The more English you hear, the more it becomes a part of you. You'll start using phrases without realizing where you learned them. That's the magic of immersion. In the next part, we'll talk about how to improve your listening comprehension, how to understand fast, real English conversations without subtitles or confusion. Listening is the foundation of speaking. You can't speak well if you don't understand what you hear. But understanding native English, especially when it's fast, connected, and full of idioms, can feel impossible at first. Don't worry. Every fluent speaker once struggled to follow real conversations. You just need to train your ears step by step, with purpose. The first rule is, don't chase every word. Most learners panic when they miss something. They think, I didn't understand that word, I failed. But that's not true. Even native speakers don't catch 100% of what they hear. The goal is not perfection, it's comprehension. You need to understand ideas, not every syllable. Start with graded listening. content made for learners. Videos like this one are designed to build your ear naturally. Once you're comfortable, move to authentic content, movies, interviews, or podcasts. You'll notice the jump in speed, but that's good. Your brain grows when it struggles. Use the 3 listening rule for every audio you study. First, listen without subtitles. Just try to catch the main idea. Second, listen again with subtitles and compare what you heard. Third, turn the subtitles off and listen once more. That's how you train both understanding and memory. The second strategy, focus on sound patterns. English is full of reductions, words blending together. For example, what do you want to do? Often sounds like, what do you want to do? You'll never catch it if you only study written English. You must train your ear to hear the rhythm of natural speech. That rhythm is what makes spoken English flow like music. Try to listen for chunks, not words. Native speakers don't think word by word. They think in short groups of meaning. For example, I don't know becomes one sound. I don't know. See you later becomes see you later. Your brain processes language faster when it listens in phrases, not pieces. Another trick is transcript reading. Take a short clip, get the transcript, and listen line by line. Pause, repeat, shadow, and underline what you miss. After a few sessions, you'll start recognizing patterns automatically. It's like teaching your ear to predict sounds before they come. Use real voices, not just textbook audios. Textbooks are clean and slow, but real people mumble, laugh, and interrupt each other. That's how language really works. Train with variety: British, American, Australian, Indian. Every accent helps you understand English globally. One of the best exercises is dictation practice. Listen to a short clip, write down what you hear, and then check the transcript. At first, you'll miss a lot. But after a few days, you'll start catching small words like the, of, and at that you never noticed before. That's ear training in action. And remember, repetition is your best friend. You don't need hundreds of new audios every week. You need to repeat the same one until it feels easy. Fluency isn't built by chasing new content. It's built by mastering the old. Also, don't underestimate listening without pressure. You don't always need to study actively. You can listen passively while walking, cleaning, or driving. Your subconscious mind keeps absorbing patterns even when you're not fully focused. It's like background training for your brain. Finally, stay patient. Understanding real English takes time, but every day your ear gets sharper. One morning, you'll realize you no longer translate, you just understand. And that moment will change everything. In the next part, we'll explore how to build a powerful English routine that combines speaking, listening, reading, and writing every day, so you keep improving effortlessly. Fluency isn't built by luck, it's built by design. If you want to improve your English speaking skills faster, you need a system, not random effort. And that system is your daily English routine. A solid routine doesn't require hours. It just requires structure and repetition. Most learners fail because they rely on motivation. They study when they feel like it. But real progress comes from habit. If you create a simple daily routine that fits your life, you'll keep improving automatically, even on days when you're tired or busy. So, how do you build one? Let's break it down step by step. Start with micro habits. Tiny actions that take less than 10 minutes. Because big changes start small. Here's an example. Listen to 5 minutes of English audio in the morning. Speak for 2 minutes about your plans for the day. Read one short paragraph or a social media post in English. Write 1 or 2 sentences about what you did today. That's it. Simple, small, and powerful. Next, create a time slot for English. The same time every day. Your brain loves routine. When you study at a fixed hour, your mind automatically switches into English mode. It could be during breakfast, while commuting, or before bed. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Another rule: balance all 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Think of them as a cycle. Listening gives you input. Speaking gives you output. Reading improves vocabulary. Writing builds structure. If you train all 4 regularly, your growth becomes unstoppable. Here's a sample 30-minute daily plan anyone can follow. 10 minutes listening. Choose a podcast or YouTube video. Focus on pronunciation and flow. 10 minutes speaking. Summarize what you just heard, out loud. Pretend you're teaching it. 5 minutes reading. Read a short article or quote that inspires you. 5 minutes writing. Write 1 paragraph summarizing your thoughts. If you do this every day, that's 3.5 hours of focused English every week, without stress, without burnout. Now, for days when you're tired or busy, have a minimum routine. Even if you can't do everything, do something. Maybe just 5 minutes of shadowing, or 1 short recording of your voice. Never skip 2 days in a row. That's how momentum dies. It's okay to rest, but don't disconnect completely. Use reminders and visual cues. Put a sticky note on your desk that says, "Speak English today." Or set a daily alarm that says, "Time for practice." These small triggers keep you consistent even when motivation disappears. And track your progress weekly. At the end of every week, ask yourself, did I practice every day? What did I improve this week? What still feels difficult? Then adjust your next week accordingly. Tracking turns effort into awareness. You can also gamify your routine. Give yourself points for completing daily tasks. When you reach 100 points, reward yourself with something fun. A treat, a movie, a rest day. Gamification keeps learning exciting and addictive. The best part? Once your routine becomes a habit, it stops feeling like work. It becomes a natural part of your day, like brushing your teeth or checking your phone. That's when you know you're on the right path. Remember, success is not built in big jumps, but in small, consistent steps. You don't need to study for hours. You just need to show up every day, even for a few minutes, and trust the process. In the next part, we'll talk about how to think like a fluent English speaker. Not just learning words, but developing the mindset that helps you speak clearly, confidently, and naturally. Fluent English doesn't start in your mouth. It starts in your mind. The way you think about English decides how you speak it. Most learners see English as a school subject, something to pass, something to perfect. But fluent speakers see English as a tool, a way to express, connect, and create. If you want to sound fluent, you must start thinking like a fluent speaker. That means changing your mindset completely. First, stop aiming for perfection. Fluent people don't know every word. They just know how to keep the conversation going. When they forget a word, they use another one. When they make a mistake, they move on. That's the difference between confidence and fear. You don't need to speak like a textbook. You need to speak like a human. Start practicing flexibility. If you don't know how to say something, find another way to explain it. For example, if you forget refrigerator, Say the place where we keep food cold. It's not perfect, but it communicates your idea. And that's what language is for. Every time you find another way to express a thought, you train creativity in English. Next, stop judging yourself while speaking. When you criticize every sentence, you block your brain from flowing. Fluent speech happens when your mind is relaxed. So instead of thinking, "Did I say that right?" think, "I'm communicating. That's what matters." Remember, fluency is a feeling, not a score. You must also start noticing how English thinks differently from your native language. In English, we often use action instead of formality. We say "let's do it" instead of "we should start." We say "I'll figure it out" instead of "I will analyze the problem." English is simple, direct, and full of movement. That's why fluent speakers sound natural. They focus on clarity, not complexity. To train this mindset, surround yourself with English in natural situations. Watch interviews, podcasts, and vlogs where people talk casually. Pay attention to their attitude. They speak with flow, not fear. They don't plan every word, they improvise. That's what you should practice too. Thinking fast, not thinking perfect. A simple daily exercise. Pick a random topic, like travel, happiness, or technology. Talk for 2 minutes without stopping. Don't correct yourself. Don't plan. Just speak. If you pause, fill it with "let me think" or "how can I say this?" This is how real conversations work. The goal isn't flawless speech, it's fearless speech. Thinking like a fluent speaker also means using mistakes as motivation, not proof of failure. Every time you notice a weakness, it's not a problem, it's a direction. It tells you exactly what to work on next. Fluent speakers aren't perfect. They're just better at learning from their own errors. Finally, remember that English fluency isn't something you finish. It's a lifelong skill, like fitness or music. You never stop improving. You just get smoother, more natural, more expressive. And that's beautiful. So speak with confidence, think in English, and live in English. Because when you change your mindset, fluency follows naturally. In the final part, we'll wrap everything together. Your mindset, your habits, your practice. And I'll show you how to stay on this journey for life without losing focus or passion. Fluency isn't a destination. It's a journey that never ends. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become fluent. Instead, you grow a little every day. You understand more, express more, and connect deeper. The process is the result. Every word you learn, every conversation you try, every video you listen to, it all builds you quietly. Even when you feel stuck, your brain is working in the background, organizing patterns, building reflexes, preparing breakthroughs. That's why the only real mistake is quitting. Fluency is not about speed. It's about consistency. You can move slowly, just never stop. Because slow progress is still progress. 1 year from now, you'll look back and realize how much you've grown. Not because of one big step, but because of thousands of small ones. To stay on this path, keep your goals personal. Don't compare yourself to others. Everyone's journey is different. Someone might learn faster, but that doesn't mean they're better. Language learning is not a race, it's a lifestyle. Your only competition is who you were yesterday. Keep English alive in your daily world. Think in it. Speak in it. Read things you love. Watch things that make you laugh. Listen to things that inspire you. When learning becomes pleasure, fluency becomes natural. There will be days when you feel tired, frustrated, or unmotivated. That's okay. Take a break if you need to, but never give up completely. Because every time you return, you come back stronger. Remember, English is not about words, it's about connection. Every new word expands your world. It lets you share your thoughts, your emotions, your story with millions of people across the planet. That's powerful. You're not just learning a language, you're building bridges between cultures, between hearts. And if you ever feel insecure, remind yourself of this truth. You're already doing something millions of people are too afraid to start. You're learning, improving, becoming better. That's courage. That's growth. That's what real success looks like. So as we close this journey, take a moment to reflect. You've learned how to think in English, how to practice alone, how to speak with confidence, and how to stay consistent. You've learned that fluency is not a talent. It's a skill anyone can build with time, patience, and love for the process. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep believing. Because one day someone will ask you, "How did you become so fluent?" And you'll smile, remembering this very journey, the daily effort, the small steps, the courage to keep trying. And you'll say, "I never stopped." Thank you for listening to English Listening Practice Hub. If this video inspired you, share it with someone who's also learning English. And remember, every time you practice, you're not just learning a language. You're becoming a new version of yourself. Stay patient, stay confident, and stay proud of how far you've come. Because this isn't the end. It's only the beginning of your lifelong journey to fluency.